Well, this video, we will be doing 50 Cent. If you want to help this channel and the content I'll be making, please help support our merchandise. The link is in the description. And if you didn't hit that like button, make sure you hit the like button. Trying to get the channel to grow. And the only way we're going to do this, if you like, share, and comment on the content. So without further ado, let's get into 50 Cent. Let's go! Chi, get the yayo.
Get the yayo.
Where were you shot? Which part of the body? Where did the bullet
Oh, I shot my hand. My thumb came out my face.
Shot in the face?
Yeah.
Where did that come out?
Like the two.
Wow. Oh my goodness. There's a hole there.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm surprised the bullet went through there, but it's alarming.
Yeah, it kind of changed my voice too, and this is the voice that sells 8 million records, so I think everything happens for a reason.
Today I'm going to tell you a story that sounds too good to be true, that you might think is just pure fiction. However, this is no make-believe. This is the story of why Curtis James Jackson was shot in both legs, chest, hip, arm, jaw, and hand.
Lucky man.
But long before 50 Cent was shot, he was just another young man hustling on the streets of South Jamaica, Queens. When the crack epidemic began in the 1980s, 50 was just a young boy.
Enterprising dealers went further, developing a form of cocaine that was even cheaper and packed a lot more punch.
This is it.
A lot more
the
punch.
drug's so powerful it will empty the money from your pockets.
Damn.
Make you sell
I don't
the
need none
watch
of that.
off your
None of
wrist,
that.
the clothes
I
off
need
your
my
back.
money in my pockets.
Or kill your mother. Yep, that's what we're saying.
It's
On the
crazy.
streets of New York, it's called crack, and the deals go down quickly.
By the age of 12, the young 50 Cent had already started dealing drugs and hustling in the street.
Wow.
And so how old were you when you got involved in selling drugs yourself?
Around 12.
12 years old, man.
Yeah.
During this period, 50's priorities wasn't hip-hop. Instead, he was just hustling in the streets for his next meal. 50 Cent had no good role models around him because his mom died when he was only 8 years old, and he never met his father. Instead, the men...
It's like a lot of our situations coming up. Don't know who your dad is. You're in a bad situation, and people that's around you are not the best people to be taking advice from.
I hear that.
he looked up to were the various drug dealers in South Jamaica, the men who ran the corners and were getting bread. They were the only semblance of success that 50 Cent had
nice.
around him. One of these drug dealers was the man known as Kenneth McGriff, who was popularly known as Supreme. Supreme was a drug kingpin in South Jamaica, and one of the most feared names on the streets. 50 Cent idolized Supreme. Supreme was one of those OGs that young men in the hood hoped to get a chance to work with. And it's easy to see why. Supreme was seen as the man who had the blueprint for success. He had a tight-knit crew he called the Supreme Team. Supreme ran his team like a Fortune 500 company. Their product was white powder. The customer base was in South Jamaica. The Supreme Team had somewhat of a 24-hour delivery service.
Sheesh.
At their peak, the Supreme Team was allegedly making over $200,000 per day. Although
And that's back then. 200,000 a day. That's almost like $1 million a day today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Supreme was no Don Pablo or El Chapo. He still ran a drug dealing team that was the envy of many. Under Supreme's leadership, the gang grew to have hundreds of members.
Wow.
Everyone knew not to mess
like
with the
BMF
Supreme
before
Team
BMF.
because some of the members of this gang were actual murderers. Some of the leaders of the Supreme Team were Bimmy, Puerto Rican Righteous, Baby Wise, Gerald Miller, aka Prince, who's actually Supreme's cousin, and Black Just.
Black
Just and 50 Cent
50's
had a
man.
very special relationship. Some might even say Black Just was the elder brother that 50 Cent never had.
Like
He was the
cousins.
man who took 50 under his wings in the streets.
That
Black
chain
Just bought
is
50
crazy.
Cent his first motorcycle and paid for him to go to a gym so that he could be a boxer.
That's Alpo.
And when 50 wasn't sparring in the gym, he would
I did.
That's the guy from Paid in Full. It's crazy.
so that he could be a boxer. And when 50 wasn't sparring in the gym, he was rapping in a friend's basement. and using turntables to record his instrumentals. By now, 50 was now fully focused on hip-hop. In 1996, one of his friends introduced him to Jam Master Jay.
Jam
Master Jay taught 50 how to write hooks, count bars, and structure songs. But it wasn't just 50 Cent who was now interested in rap. Supreme was now also interested in hip-hop as well.
Wow.
Supreme was a...
Everybody seen that bag in hip-hop. Everybody seen that's where the money was at. It was... The rappers was now getting more money than the drug dealers. So the drug dealers now wanted to become rappers or get involved in the music industry because that's where the bag was at. And it was a legal bag. You didn't have to worry about the cops, the feds, ATF.
That's all. Everybody just
all the alphabet boys.
Everybody wanted a little bag and they wanted to live a little life of luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, at least as close as they could get to it at the moment. You
Right.
know what I mean?
I ain't noticed have Ja Rule in this. It's dope.
Arrested in 1987. And in 1989, he pleaded guilty to controlling a criminal enterprise. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, but he was released on parole in 1994 after serving about 5 years of his sentence.
Shit, sounds good to me.
When Supreme became
5
a
instead
free
of
man,
12.
he was released into the golden age of hip-hop.
Shorty
Hip-hop
Sosa Duck
was one of
doing
the
that
biggest
thing
raves
on
in
me.
all of America. Supreme decided not to go back to selling drugs. He saw hip-hop as his chance to reinvent himself and make clean money. Supreme had his eyes set on becoming a hip-hop mogul, and he decided to partner with Murder Inc. Records. In the early 2000s, they were one of the biggest labels in the country.
It was the most notorious rap
remember that,
record label
man, right.
of the
They
early
was running it.
2000s, with a string of chart-topping hits, backed by a sound and
This is when Irv Gotti had that Midas touch. Anything he would touch would turn to gold. They was on fire at the time. I understand why Supreme would have got with them because they was at the top of the game. If you could slide in with the top people in the game, who wouldn't do that? Especially when Ja Rule was on fire. That's when he was writing for Jennifer Lopez. He was just going to the next
What
level.
would I be without you?
All that.
All that.
image that crossed over from the streets to pop culture.
We were just talking about Jennifer Lopez.
Led by hip-hop mastermind and producer.
The label was run by Irv Gotti.
Irv Gotti.
One of their artists were Black Child, Charlie Baltimore, Ashanti, and of course,
Ashanti
Ja
still
Rule.
look good.
With Supreme, they had protection against their ops. And working with Supreme also improved Murder Inc.'s street cred. And during this period, Ja Rule was one of the biggest rappers in the country.
Facts.
So Supreme had obviously made the right choice. The label was raking in the Benjamins, and everyone was happy. However, they had hit a snag in 1999. Ja was robbed of his chain by a man named Troy while shooting a music video. Troy robbed Ja Rule because Ja supposedly slept with his wife.
Yeah.
Supreme eventually used his connect.
Yeah, I remember that story. It was actually Ja Rule Mans. And he got locked up and he went and messed with his girl. So when he got out of jail, the first thing he did was find Ja Rule and relieve him of his chain for messing with his girl.
You needed that.
You my mans. I go locked up and you. All right, bet.
Actions to get his chain back and once again proved how valuable he was to Murder Inc. However, after some time, Ja Rule saw Troy talking to 50 Cent in the club. And according to 50 Cent, this was what began their beef.
A friend of mine's robbed Ja Rule. And I'm in the club, and I see the nigga, I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, chilling. He see me kicking it with the nigga that robbed him. And he feel like, oh shit, I shouldn't speak to this dude, because I know the kid robbed him. But I know this kid, I grew up with him.
This made Ja Rule.
That's anybody. A friend of my enemy. You're my enemy. I can't trust you. I don't know if you're playing both sides. I don't even know if you're trying to get me lined. I can't.
Right.
It only makes sense. Anybody would do that. But I get why 50 Cent still talked to his friend because it's his friend. And I understand why Ja Rule distanced himself from the situation.
From everybody.
You could easily get me lined up.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That 50 was in on the plan to rob him. 50 stated that he was only hanging out with Troy because he was his friend. Now you've got to understand how gutsy it was for 50 to go toe-to-toe with Ja. 50 Cent was just an underground rapper who was signed to Columbia Records. Ja Rule already had a platinum-selling record, while 50 hadn't even released his debut album yet. Ja had a major label.
Even though 50 hadn't released anything yet, 50 was writing for a lot of bigger artists. So 50 was well established in the industry, not as an artist, but as a writer. And he knew he was on his way up. So that's why he didn't care. He knew. And he knew all these guys. They was all from Queens. He really knew who was who. And he knew Ja Rule wasn't on that type of time. So that's why he treated it like that. Because I know you in real life. It's different when knowing a rapper. No, I know you. And I know the people you hang around.
Right, but also remember, at this time, there ain't no streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Ain't none of that going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You still got dial-up modem on some computers.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? People are buying units in the store, or you might get a mixtape.
Right.
So if you got a real buzz going, you really doing something.
Right. It was harder. Not like today. Throw a song on TikTok. Tomorrow you lit. Tomorrow you lit.
The industry behind him. 50 Cent was just a raw gangster rapper who only had his wits. Fiery persona.
Bottom line is, I'm a crook with a deal. If my record don't sell, I'm a rob and steal. You better recognize, nigga, I'm straight from the street.
However, Ja Rule denies even seeing 50 and Troy together. Ja stated that their beef began because the Murder Inc. crew gave 50 the cold shoulder when he was shooting the video to the song Murder for Life. And this shoot happened after the robbery. We might never know what exactly caused this beef, but one thing you and I know is that 50 was never going to let any disrespect slide. But before he did anything about it, he spoke to Supreme about it. However, Supreme allegedly said to him, "Yo, leave this little dude alone.
That's my eat.
You know they pussy, but this is my food." However, the beef only got worse from here. 50 Cent called out the entire Murder Inc. crew, including Irv Gotti.
Things turned ugly.
So yo, 50, what's the definition of a wankster, man? I mean, what is that?
Ja Rule, Irv Gotti. I'll tell you personally, the Murder Inc., the people that you see like Irv, Ja, the people that are involved in the business aspect are bitches. Like these niggas don't got no hood in them.
50 wasn't
Yeah,
backing
it's on
down.
the album though, bro.
Neither was Ja.
That was an MTV. That was an MTV.
This
MTV interview.
I'm talking about
50
Ja
and Ja
Rule,
met
Irv
each
Gotti.
other at the Swiss Hotel in Atlanta, as they were both booked to perform at the same show. 50's manager, Chaz Williams, encouraged them to talk, try to squash the beef. Rather than settle their differences, this would be the first time the duo will get physical with each other. Discussion turned into a huge fight. 50 managed to steal Ja Rule's chain, and he wasted no time in letting everyone know about it. He released the diss track, Your Life's on the Line, and in the video, he pulled off one of the most humiliating moves in hip-hop history. 50 was wearing Ja's chain in the video of the diss track. Murder, I don't believe you, murder. Supreme eventually collected the chain from 50 and returned it to Ja Rule. But 50 also got a watch in return.
Wow.
That video was the ultimate disrespect, and it was only to get bloody from here.
He shot a video with his chain on. Nowadays, you see like that more often, but when this came out, that was rare to see that. And that was just crazy. But shouts out to McGriff for getting the chain back. They did exchange the watch for the chain, which is just crazy.
It was an exchange.
So that lets you know how 50 was getting down, because these guys are nothing to play with. I'm not talking about Ja Rule. These guys are nothing to play with, and he's playing with them.
Yeah.
Ja Rule and Murder Inc. tried to blackball 50 in the industry.
Anybody else would just give him the chain back with no exchange. Like, I ain't giving him nothing unless I get something. It's crazy.
That's different.
This affected the growth of his career. On March 24th, 2000, the beef got physical again. Ja Rule and 50 were in the Hit Factory building, but in different rooms. When Ja heard 50 was in the Hit Factory studio not far from him, he convinced his homies to go and jump him because he couldn't join them, as he was on crutches. 50 and 4 other people were involved in a fight with Black Child and other Murder Inc. members.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Beef is when you see a nigga in this fucking studio or wherever, and the nigga wanna talk, and niggas was like, nah, ain't nothing to talk about, right? It's like 5 of us and 5 of them, and niggas is getting it on and fighting and bang. Some way, somehow, the lights got turned out. It off, and niggas was getting it on in the dark.
You don't know if you're hitting. They fighting in the dark. You don't know if you hitting your meds or nothing. You just swinging at anything that's making a sound, or you hear a sound. I'm swinging that direction. It's
don't
crazy.
get hit. That's the point. Just
And I seen Yo Gotti, I'm saying not Yo Gotti. Tony Yayo had an interview on Vlad TV when he was talking about this situation, and he said they didn't have no blickies on him inside of the studio, and he said thank God because it could have went left.
Yeah, it could have went
and
over.
Thank God they didn't, because we probably would never got the whole G Unit movement if that would have went down that way.
It could have went a whole nother direction.
Facts.
Black Child, but he managed to survive. Black Child was arrested, and the judge issued a restraining order for 50 Cent against the members of Murder Inc. in favor of 50. And this is what started the rumor that 50 was a snitch. But what really turned Supreme and the rest of the streets against 50 and also put a target on his back was the song
Ghetto Quran.
Ghetto Quran.
Lord, forgive me for I sin over and over again just to stay on top. I recall Mary with sin over and over again and again.
On the record Ghetto Quran, 50 mentioned the names of all the major drug dealers, hustlers, and gangsters in Queens.
Facts.
So 50 was not only attacking his artist, he was also exposing street business to everyone, including the feds. However, 50 states that he wasn't trying to snitch on anyone, and he was only trying to show respect to the OGs. But Supreme had enough, and he decided to put an end to his 50 Cent problem. Supreme paid $25,000 for 50 Cent to be killed. And on the 24th of May 2000, 50 had the biggest scare of his life. At around 12 p.m., 50's friend Curtis Brown was waiting for him in front of his grandmother's house. 50 sat in the back seat as his friend's girlfriend was also in the car. 50's friend then reminded him to go and get his diamond pendant. On his way back to the car, 50 took his gun with him. 50 stated that he did notice a car arrive on the block, but he didn't think much of it. But immediately after he entered the car,
Right behind me is my grandmother's home. I came out like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, May 24th. She was bent over, actually planting flowers in the garden, and I walked over here to sit in the actual vehicle that my friend was waiting for me in, and the car pulled up. On the side of us, a guy got out the passenger seat of that car, came around behind it, and shot through the actual car.
the bullet tore into his face, his arms, legs, hip, and chest. 50 had a swollen tongue, a broken leg, lost his wisdom tooth, and this is also what led to his slurred voice. He was kept in the hospital for 13 days before he was eventually released.
What does it feel like to be shot? Is it a physical feeling?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt as much as people imagine it hurts because of your adrenaline and how the shock of what's actually going on hurts after.
Did you feel the first one or the ninth one?
I don't even know. I didn't know my legs were broke.
50 Cent was shot by a man known as Daryl Homo Baum. Baum was a friend, former bodyguard of Mike Tyson. But it wasn't just 50 Cent that Supreme tried to kill. He also ordered the shooting of E-Money Bags and Big Nose Troy. Supreme was eventually convicted of his crimes in 2001, and he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. But this incident changed 50 Cent's life forever.
Yeah, so when going through that experience, when you get hurt that bad, either your fear consumes you or you become a bit insensitive.
At first, he hit rock bottom because he lost his deal with Columbia Records. But after he recovered from his injuries, he got back in the booth and created one of the best mixtapes ever, titled Guess Who's Back.
Guess Who's Back.
This mixtape somehow found its way to Eminem. 50 got signed to Shady Records, and he hasn't looked back ever since.
The rest is history. It's TRE-TV. Let's get it.
This is Lamar Wilson here representing Ghetto Action News Network _, all lowercases.
No spaces.
You can find us on Facebook, and when you do, make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right, I'm going to get right down into this. Excuse me. This was a nice little presentation they had here.
Yeah.
Kind of broke down a nice segment of time there.
Yeah.
With G-Unit and Murder Inc. and their whole explanation of why they kind of keep their distance still to this day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It It was pretty informative, and it did show. There was even a little more information than I've heard. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, this was just a different time. You got what you got. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody really been looking. You know what I mean? But hearing different things and then seeing a man got hit with the life. You know what I mean? That's different. You know what I mean? But this was at that wild time. But it's crazy to see the progression from all of this to around, you know, you're looking at a mobile. You know what I mean? All those brothers ended up doing something fantastic with themselves. It's just crazy to see that, you know, you can come from nothing and end up, you know what I mean, on top. So I think this is pretty dope. What you think about this?
I think this is a great documentary. Give you a blast into the past when all this was going on. We was all well aware of it when 50 Cent was going to his heights and Ja Rule was on his decline. We learned a lot about this beef. This documentary gave me some new information, some stuff I knew, some stuff I learned from this. I think it was a great documentary, and I can't wait until we get into our next episode. But until then, it's your boy TRE-TV, and I'm out.